Welcome to the workshop called Your Stress Survival Guide: How to Lower Your Stress, Minimize Your Risk for Stress-Related Illness, and Feel in Control of Your Life. I'm really excited to share this with you here today. Every time I've done this masterclass, either live or in person, it's been really well received, so I can't wait to share it with you now. Just in case we haven't met yet, my name is Heather Thatcher, and over my 10 years as a registered nurse, I noticed that although people came into the hospital with physical conditions, many of those were a manifestation of what was going on from within. I was a critical care nurse working in the ICU for a while, and then I also did a few years working in the community, teaching people about how to empower themselves, manage their stress, and improve their health and wellness. But I noticed that if they were struggling with negative self-talk or other extreme levels of stress, making these positive changes was very challenging for them. And I realized that if I wanted to have an impact on helping people with their health, I had to crack the code for overcoming inner critic, negative self-talk, and stress, because your inner critic and the inner environment that you have is one of the major sources of our stress. And so that's what I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to walk you through the exact steps and strategies I use with my clients inside my paid programs in the community every single day. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, heather@heatherthatcher.com. You can also find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at The Ultimate Life Survival Guide. The next thing I want to encourage you to do is to remain open and coachable. We're going to be breaking through some old thought patterns, and we can't do that if you're holding on to what you thought you need to be true. What got you here won't get you to where you want to be. And to illustrate this, I want to share a story with you. There's a story of a man who climbed this huge mountain to reach a guru. And when he entered the guru's house, he really wanted to impress that guru and started telling him everything that he'd learned so far and everything he knew about the topic that the guru was an expert in. And the guru started to pour the man some tea. And as the man kept talking, the guru kept pouring the tea until it was overflowing and spilling out onto the table and onto the floor. And the man jumped up and shouted, "What are you doing? There's tea everywhere." And the guru looked him straight in the eye and said, "If your cup is already full, there's no room for any more." If your cup is already full, there's no room for any more. Some of the things that I'm going to tell you in this workshop will go against what you think you already know or what you've heard before. So I invite you to take a moment right now and just release any expectations you have of me, of yourself, and remain open and coachable. And then take notice throughout this workshop when I'm saying something that you're not so sure about. Because the truth is, if the knowledge you had already was enough, you wouldn't be here right now. You wouldn't need this workshop, right? So what you already knew, you'd be free of your stress and everything that goes along with that. So all I ask is that you remain open and just approach what we're going to be talking about in this workshop with curiosity, noticing when you're feeling resistance, and continuing to being present with what's being said. So here's what you can expect from this masterclass. First, I'm going to talk to you about stress and what it looks like in your body and the effects it can have on your body. Then I'm going to talk to you about your inner critic and your inner critic's role in your stress response. And then I'm going to share some practical tips and strategies that you can use today to lower your stress and feel in more control of your life. And finally, we're going to talk about some pivotal research in the stress management space that's going to blow your mind and completely shift how you see stress. This workshop is not for you if you're looking for someone or something else to fix your stress. This mindset is disempowering, and often, even if it's just subconscious, we're looking for someone or something to blame for your problems. Because the truth is, you don't need to assign blame. When you step into your power, when you accept where you're at without worrying about who's at fault and committing to make conscious, intentional choices from here, that's where the power is. You know this workshop isn't for you if you feel like you already know everything that there is to know about stress. Just like that guru said in the story, if your cup's already full, there's no room for any more. I've been learning about stress for over a decade, and I still have so much to learn. And that's one of the wonderful parts of life's journey, is that there's always room to grow and continue learning. And finally, you'll know that this workshop isn't for you if you get upset when I share an offer for you to take this valuable information that you're learning for free here to the next level by joining the Ultimate Life Survival Guide community. And I've designed this so that you can make some huge shifts and changes in your life and lower your stress with the information I share in this free workshop, because I really don't like going to workshops where there isn't much usable information and then you just feel like icky, like you're being sold to the entire time. Not what we're doing here. You're going to get so much info, and then I'm going to share with you and show you how you can take it all to the next level. Sound good? All right, let's get started. And if you stay to the end, I will give you a free stress management package, which includes a set of downloadable exercises, guided meditations, and a stress workbook that will help you put what we talk about in this masterclass into action. All right, so who am I and why should you listen to me? 10 years ago, I finally had enough of negative self talk and stress, and I was feeling all of the negative effects of stress on my body. But it was like my body was rejecting any affirmation or habit change I was trying, and I kept being stuck, unable to break free from limiting beliefs, unable to break free from my people pleasing tendencies and these feelings of unworthiness. I was taught this, as so many of us are, that I should put others first and make sure that others are taken care of and not to be selfish. But no matter how much I did or who I helped or how much I gave of myself, it was never enough. And so this meant that there was very little time or energy left to take care of myself, which left me stressed to the max, overweight, tired, inactive, eating poorly, and burnt out. I was unhappy and feeling unfulfilled in my life when I started on a path of self-discovery and personal and professional development that allowed me to see my life and self-worth in a whole new way. So, using the science of neurolinguistic programming, cognitive behavioral therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy, which are both the gold standards of modern psychology right now, through guided meditation, quantum physics, all of the different stress research modalities and theories, I learned how to effectively reverse all of my negative self talk and how to dismiss my inner critic and how to take control of my stress response. And so now my stress level, my limiting beliefs, they don't play a role anymore. And so I won't worry if I'm going to fail or if I'm capable. There's no self sabotage sneaking in. I'm able to see all of this from a big picture perspective and move forward to achieve anything that I want for my life. And all of this is capable and available to you. And that's what we're going to be talking about here. So, what is stress? Our body has two big divisions of our nervous system. There's the voluntary side called the somatic nervous system, and that's the part where we consciously control our body. We're able to get up and move somewhere. We're able to move our fingers to scroll through an app on our phone. We're able to set up so you can play this webinar maybe on your phone or your computer. The somatic nervous system is something that we consciously control by choice. The other side is the autonomic nervous system. Autonomic sounds like automatic, and that's exactly how it works. Our autonomic nervous system controls everything like our breathing, our heartbeat, our kidneys and liver doing their jobs, our spleen, pancreas, blood vessels. All those things that we gratefully don't have to think about are covered in the autonomic side of our nervous system. And now this autonomic side also has two sides, and you can only be in one side or the other with one exception. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. And you may have heard of these two sides before because they're called rest and digest, which is the parasympathetic nervous system, or there's the fight, flight, or freeze system, which is our sympathetic nervous system. So let's talk about the rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system first. When we're in rest and digest in our body, it's focused on healing. And that means that our body is calm and relaxed, and we're able to access our rational thinking brain, our objective observer within. Our heart rate is slow and steady. Our breathing is calm. Our blood pressure is low. We're digesting our food and bringing all those healthy nutrients and vitamins all around our body. Our body is focused on fighting infection. It's clearing free radicals. It's lowering our risk for stress-related illnesses like cancer, heart disease, autoimmune disorders. The opposite side is the fight, flight, or freeze side of the sympathetic nervous system. And that's the exact opposite of the rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system. So here our heart rate is fast, our breathing is fast and deep, our blood pressure goes up, our body sends oxygen and nutrients to the body systems that need it most. But if you think about it, if you're running away from a bear, which is what your stress system was designed for, digesting that cheeseburger that you had for lunch or contemplating the meaning of life, not exactly a priority right now, is it? Your body, when your stress response is turned on, focuses on getting you out of danger and keeping you safe. And so it directs all of the blood flow to those spaces and directs it away from the spaces that aren't needed at this time. But our stress response wasn't designed for modern day stress. Our bodies and brains don't know the difference between being chased down by a bear or being worried about something like money or work or a pandemic. Your stress response turns on and stays on, keeping us in fight, flight, or freeze for much longer than our body was designed to handle. And this moves us through the 3 stages of the stress response. And the first stage is the alarm stage, the stage of alarm. And this is where we see a bear coming our way and you go, holy smokes, time to get out of here. And that's what our body was designed to handle, the quick, holy smokes moment where the danger goes away and we're able to calm down and go back to normal life. And you've felt that stage of alarm before if you've just narrowly avoided getting in a car accident, or if you were about to step off a curb and a bus just like whooshes by your face, or if you notice 9 missed calls from your mother in the span of 5 minutes and you're wondering what's wrong. So when this happens, our body sends out a rush of adrenaline hormones, epinephrine and norepinephrine. And these hormones are what stimulate our heart to beat faster, our blood pressure to go up, and for us to breathe faster and more deeply. So this is your body trying to make you as successful as possible to survive this stressful moment. And in this stage, you primarily access your instinctual lizard brain, your lower level survival thinking capacities. And again, contemplating the meaning of life isn't a priority when you're trying to run away from a bear. So that's where your habits and instincts are what are protecting you. And your body's well equipped to handle this rush of stress hormones. But quickly, that stressor should go away. That's what it's expecting it to do. But modern day stress doesn't just go away like that, does it? We're left with worries and stressors that don't go away. Which moves us into the next stage, the stage of resistance. So here's when our body's managing okay, our body's finding enough balance and energy to maintain this prolonged stress response, and it's hoping that that goes away soon. But along with the adrenaline hormones, our body also uses other measures like the hormone cortisol to best support our body through this time of stress. And you may have heard of cortisol before. It's been given a very bad reputation in the news lately, and it's really unfair because cortisol isn't the enemy. It's a superhero. So you see, when your heart is beating faster and more blood is moving around your body, taking oxygen and nutrients to certain parts of your brain and your muscles, this means that you're using up energy faster. And all these little cells all over your body are desperate for more energy to keep up with this increased demand. And so they reach out to the brain in the only way they know how. And they say, hey, brain, we're hungry down here. And your brain sends cortisol to the rescue. Cortisol circulates through your body to help us stay more awake so we can find more food. It encourages our liver to make its own energy to support our body. And finally, it makes us crave high carb, high fat foods so we can get more energy for our increased needs for fight, flight, or freeze. So if you're ever wondering why you crave sweet treats, salty snacks, and carb heavy comfort foods when you're stressed, that's cortisol at work, trying to give your body the energy it needs to sustain your stress response through the stage of resistance. But then it all gets to be a little bit too much, and we move into the last stage, the stage of exhaustion. So here, cortisol can't keep up with this increased demand. We're running on an empty tank, and we are stressed the heck out and feeling like no matter what we do, it's never enough. In this state of chronic stress, our blood pressure has been high for a while, and our heart has been working extra hard. So this is where we see heart disease, heart attacks, and strokes related to stress. We also see digestive issues like ulcers, indigestion, inflammatory bowel concerns in the state of exhaustion. Because remember, if you're in fight or flight mode, digesting food isn't the priority. So your body shunts blood away from your digestion, meaning that it's not getting what it needs to do its normal job because it's expecting this to be fast, not this prolonged stress that we're used to. On an emotional and intellectual level, we start to struggle with memory, with mood, with emotional regulation, with other cognitive issues related to this prolonged stress. And again, contemplating the meaning of life, not an important thing while you're running away from a bear. So this calm, rational, higher level thinking brain isn't getting the oxygen it needs to fully function, which is why it's so much easier for us to be triggered or react instead of respond to challenging situations when we're in this stage of exhaustion. And this, my friend, is where many people are living their lives. They're operating out of default survival mode, just doing their best, getting by, and trying to keep their head above water. When we're in default survival mode, this is where our inner critic is in charge of making all of our decisions. And our inner critic uses our mental filters, our thought patterns, and emotional habits as a way of surviving. When something isn't quite right, like when we encounter more stress in our lives, our inner critic starts to freak out a little bit. Our inner critic knows that something's wrong, something is different, and doesn't like it. So it runs around pushing all the panic buttons around in our brain, ramping up our stress response even more, cutting us off from our rational objective observer and increasing our risk of chronic disease related to stress. But you have the power to turn off your stress response. And the more you practice what I'm about to share with you, the easier it will get for you. High power CEOs know how to do this. Intensive care and emergency room staff know how to do this. Everyone who joins the Ultimate Life Survival Guide community knows how to do this. The best way to describe this process is with a little bit of a metaphor. So I want you to imagine your mind as the ocean. When you're calm in a low level of stress, the waves are gentle, you and your inner critic are on a boat, everything's fine, the sun is shining, everything's beautiful, nothing unexpected is happening. You're just enjoying the sunshine. But when we're stressed, it's like the perfect storm rolls in. The waves are huge, the rain is heavy, and you and your inner critic are holding on for dear life while the storm is raging around you, and you're just doing your best to survive. You're reacting to what's happening around you because that's the best you can do. You can't see what's coming over that next wave. You're too busy just trying to survive this one. But if you go 30 to 40 feet below, everything is calm, steady, quiet, and completely unaffected by what's going on the surface. That's what connecting to your objective observer looks like. You're able to see everything that's happening around you without being affected by it. And that's exactly what I'm going to start teaching you right now, how to drop into that calm inner quiet and access your rational, higher level thinking brain and be able to make calm decisions for your life moving forward. Once you're living as the objective observer of your life in that conscious, intentional mode, your inner critic's cool to take the back seat and not worry. You aren't as easily triggered because your inner critic isn't worried. They know you've got this. You're calm, controlled, you're able to achieve your full potential because nothing's holding you back anymore. That's the magic of living with conscious intention as your objective observer. And because you are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions, you are not your habits, you are not your inner critic, you are the objective observer that can look at all you have going on, all that's happening in the world around you, take it all in, and make calm, conscious choices. So think of it this way. You are the CEO of your life, and your stressors, your worries, your inner critic, they're all just different department managers. They bring things to your attention, and then you, as the CEO objective observer, can choose to take that information into consideration and decide what to do from here. And so one of the guided meditations that I'm going to be giving to you for free at the end of this masterclass will help you sink into that calm space and access your objective observer. And so by practicing this meditation, what you're doing is creating a neural pathway in your brain. You're creating a new brain-based habit that will allow you to access this calm objective observer within this like quiet space when you need it on demand. And the more you walk that path in your brain, the more established it'll become. However, the best and fastest way you can regain control over your stress response, lower your risk of stress-related illness, and boost your immune system is something simple that we've all heard before. Has this ever happened to you? Have you ever been stressed out over something and someone comes up to you and says, whoa, 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 just breathe? And although that may have made you a little bit more upset in the moment, it's actually really good advice. Remember back when we were talking about the rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system and the fight, flight, or freeze sympathetic nervous system? You can only be in one side or the other. Your heart can be beating fast or it can be beating slow. Your digestive system can be getting a lot of support or very little support. You're thinking rationally or you're thinking instinctually. And you're either breathing fast or you're breathing slow. And even if you're really into biofeedback, the easiest way to turn off your stress response is to slow down your breathing. This cues your body that it's time to turn off the stress switch, to rein in those adrenaline and cortisol hormones, and to get back into resting and digesting. Here's where the exception to the rule is. Remember, there's that freeze aspect of the fight, flight, or freeze response. And I said that you can only be in one side or the other. Your freeze response is the exception. So some people freeze in moments of stress, and some people can freeze in just specific considerations, specific conditions of stress. So it's not necessarily that you always freeze in stressful situations, but certain situations will cause you to freeze. And so this occurs when the switch between rest and digest and fight or flight is stuck. That switch gets stuck in the middle and we can't move. We're struggling to breathe. We can't think. We're not motivated to make any changes. We're not motivated to do a whole lot because we're stuck. We're not in the productive side of our sympathetic nervous system. We're not in the resting and digesting side of the parasympathetic nervous system. We're stuck. And so because neither side of our body is getting the go ahead, we're staying frozen. But you can break out of that freeze state in the same way you can turn off your stress response, and that is to slow down your breathing. Because then you're bringing your awareness back to what you can consciously control, and that triggers the switch to get unstuck and move back to the parasympathetic rest and digest side. And so you can do this multiple ways, but I suggest the 5-5-5 method. So what this is you take 5 deep breaths for 5 seconds on the inhale, 5 seconds on the exhale, and then these 5 breaths will slow down your body to cue it to turn off your stress response and allow you to sink into that quiet, mindful space where your objective observer lives. And now, given that our lives are highly stressful and that we encounter stress on a daily basis, I recommend to everyone that you do this 5-5-5 breathing 5 times a day. And I know that that sounds like a lot, but how about this? You do your 5 breaths for 5 seconds on the inhale, 5 seconds on the exhale when you first get up, before each meal, and then before you go to bed. That's 5. Done and done, right? So when you do this 5-5-5 breathing 5 times a day, you're constantly checking in and turning off that stress response on your body, and you're putting yourself back into rest and digest 5 times a day. So you're trying to keep yourself in that space as much as possible. But you can also use it in the moment when you get triggered or when you feel that stress response ramping up in your body. I practice what I preach, and so I'm going to share a story with you of when I used this 5-5-5 breathing technique and how it helped me. So when my husband and I lived in Vancouver, I took the SkyTrain to work. And if you don't know what the SkyTrain is, it's this really cool automated train system. There's no drivers in the train. You can actually sit up at the front where the driver would be and watch it coming at you through the main window. It's all automatic, super fun. So I researched my route. I knew which train to take, which stop to get off at, and I figured I was good to go. So there I was on the train, listening for my stop, where I overheard the overhead speaker say, "End of the line, you're in Surrey," which was a completely different city and was far away from where I needed to be in 10 minutes for my first day of work. So immediately my stress response ramped up and I felt that adrenaline hit hard. So I got off the train, I went to the side, and I did a round of 5-5-5 breaths until I found my connection to my objective observer again. So, fun fact, if you're ever in Vancouver, this is important information. There are trains with the same name leaving from the same platform going in the same direction that fork and end up in 2 completely different cities, which is just rude. I feel really like if you're going to do that, name the train something different, right? So I realized that I was on the wrong expo train, figured out where I needed to go to get on the right expo train, and I was only about 10 minutes late for work. I explained what happened, and everything was fine. But if I didn't quickly access my objective observer, which is my higher level thinking brain, my problem solving brain, it would have taken me much longer to figure out what went wrong and how to fix it, and I would have been much more late. Because if you've ever experienced that frazzled brain state when you're really stressed out and that stress response is hit very hard, it's hard to think calmly, clearly, and get to your solution quick. Usually you're ruminating and kind of cycling around. So the 5-5-5 breathing works so well. It's highly effective and I really recommend it and I use it often. So the next strategy I have for you is to use a self-compassion script. A lot of our stressors are because of uncertainty and the unknown. We worry about what ifs that we can think of, and then we also worry about all the what ifs we can't think of. And the 555 breathing works well in all cases, but self-compassion scripts work really well when the stressor is something you can't control. When the coronavirus pandemic hit North America, people were highly stressed and panicked. The grocery stores were wild, and there was so much fear and uncertainty and worry. And like I said at the beginning, I've been an ICU nurse. I was an ICU RN through SARS, through the H1N1, and with Corona, I was really calm and pragmatic about it. Plus, I have additional certification as an infection prevention and control practitioner. So the information around the virus and how it's spread and pandemic measures, I had already learned about. I've been trained to handle this and with the modeling and all of those different things, the precautions, the social distancing. I knew all of that from an intellectual level. And then also in my practice as a nurse in the ICU for SARS and the H1N1. And so, really, everyone's inner critic was active in the grocery stores in default survival mode. And they were noticing that people around were they're acting differently, that everyone's a little bit stressed, that they're stocking up on essentials or some non essential toilet paper. And our inner critic notices this and says, well, that's not normal, and starts running around pushing all the panic buttons. So I was able to keep my inner critic calm and stay connected to my objective observer with slow, steady breathing while I was shopping. But eventually it became too much. And so I switched to my next strategy for you, which is a self compassion script. So, a self compassion script aims to comfort yourself in the same way that you would comfort a dear friend. You're letting that friend speak. You're listening without judgment. You offer validation for how they're feeling. You comfort them and let them know that you're here for them. And so, a self compassion script does exactly the same thing, but just for yourself. So, in the grocery store, my self compassion script sounded like this: I know that things are different right now, and we don't know what it's going to look like moving forward. You are feeling fear, but you are not your fear. It's okay that you're worried, but remember that you're just doing the best you can, and that's all you can ask for at this moment. And after saying this to myself for a few times, I felt better. And I talk about the 3 components of a self-compassion script and how to write one in that free resource that you'll get at the end of this masterclass. So you can definitely stay tuned for that. So far we've been talking about controlling your breathing as a way to turn off your stress response, and then why a self-compassion script works so well and when to use it. So now I want to talk to you about some pretty amazing research and the number one thing you can do to lower your risk for stress-related illnesses right now, and that is to shift your perspective. So there was a study done at the University of Wisconsin in 2012, and they had 30,000 people rate their stress. And then over the next 8 years, they studied the negative health effects of stress rate illnesses by looking at who died. And so they wanted to compare that, the rate of people who died, compared to how high or low they rated their overall stress. So here's the twist. They also asked people if they believed that their stress was harmful for their health. The bad news first is that the people who reported that they had experienced high levels of stress in the past year had a 43% increased risk of dying. But that was only the case for people who also saw stress as being harmful for their health. The people who did not believe that stress was harmful were no more likely to die. And in fact, the people who reported high levels of stress, who did not see their stress response as harmful, had the lowest risk of dying. They even had a lower risk of negative effects of stress than the people who reported having low levels of stress, but still saw stress as harmful. So the researchers took this data and concluded that 20,000 deaths in the US every year aren't due to stress, but the belief that stress is bad for you. And that puts the belief that stress is bad for you at the 15th highest cause of death in the US, putting it higher than HIV, AIDS, and skin cancer. Which makes you wonder, does our perception of stress really make a difference? Harvard University asked the same question. The study was much smaller given the intense physiological assessments, and the methodology was still very strong though. So a group of people, 50 people, 25 female, 25 male, participated in this study, and they were split up into 3 groups. The first group was sent into a waiting room to wait for 30 minutes before the testing began. They were the control group. The second group were given strategies to help them ignore and distract themselves from the stressful environments they were going to be encountering in the study. And the third group was taught about how our stress response is gearing up to help us be successful. And it's there to support us, not something to be worried about. And then everyone participated in the Trier Social Stress Test. The first part of this test is that you go onto a big stage with bright lights shining on you, with a panel of judges that are watching you give a speech on your personal weaknesses. The whole time you're giving that speech, the judges are rolling their eyes, they're making faces and showing how unimpressed and bored they are, or they're talking and laughing while pointing at you. Then, after that load of fun, you're whisked away to a room by a person who then asks you to count backwards by 7, starting at 963. And the whole time you're doing this mental math, they're making noises like, gosh, shaking their heads and saying, wow, you are really bad at this. The person before you was so much faster. And then after that, because that wasn't enough, there's one more part of the test. So participants were shown a bunch of words in different colors, like what's on this slide right now, that they had to quickly say the color that was written, the color that the word was written in, but without actually saying the word that was written there. And the words that were printed in color were very negative words with phrases like this one, that I am stupid and worthless, written out in these many different colors. And so all through the test, and then afterwards, the participants' vital signs were measured, including heart rate and blood pressure. And then at the end, the researchers also looked at the blood vessels around their hearts. And here's what they found. The people that were taught that the stress response is helpful were less stressed out by all of this. They were less anxious and more confident. But what was even more impressive was that their physical stress response changed. Typically, when we're stressed out, the blood vessels all over our body, including the ones around our heart, they tighten up and get smaller. And so this is to help speed up our blood flow so we can get oxygen to our brain and the other parts of our body faster. But it also means that our heart is working harder while getting less blood. And so that's what increases our risk of heart attack with the high levels of stress lasting for a long time. But the participants who were taught to see the stress response as helpful, their heart blood vessels didn't narrow at all. They stayed open, protecting their heart and lowering their risk of cardiovascular disease associated with chronic stress. And we see this same response in the people that are experiencing emotions like joy and courage. Those, again, activate a certain aspect of our stress response, the positive side of our stress response, but they protect our heart. That's the difference. So you're here because you're ready to start creating shifts in your perception, which allow you to connect to your objective observer and identify your goal for your life. But making this one small mindset shift by choosing to see your stress response as helpful, you're choosing to have a profound impact on your overall health and well-being. You're consciously lowering your risk of heart attacks and other stress-related diseases. Your mind is so powerful. And this one mindset shift of choosing to see your body's response to your stress as setting you up for success has a profound impact. So, my friend, in this difficult time where there's so much that's causing us stress, I challenge you to take 5 deep breaths for 5 seconds on the inhale, 5 seconds on the exhale, 5 times a day. And then I challenge you to use a self-compassion script that I will talk to you about how to access in a minute here. And I'm going to challenge you to see your body's stress response as helpful, gearing you up to be successful and more able to manage everything life's throwing at you right now. I believe that life is full of beautiful possibilities, yet sadly, most people are going through life in default survival mode, and they miss out on the wonder and joy that life has to offer. Because of stress, negative self-talk, and a distorted view of life, many people hold themselves back from reaching their true potential. It's my mission to show people how they can live with conscious intention so they can lower their stress, feel in control of their life, and confidently go after anything they want. People I've worked with go from feeling stuck and frustrated by their circumstances to becoming an unstoppable force in their life. It's your turn to feel unstoppable. So now, my friend, you have a decision to make. Option number one, you can keep moving forward from here and figure out how to put this all into action for your own life. It's possible. I did it for myself, but it took me over 10 years, several of which I feel I spent reading and testing different strategies to see what would work. And so, as you can see, unfortunately, this is the long and the hard way. Without a proven roadmap or framework, you're going to end up wandering down several different paths, trying many different strategies and theories before you find the right one. So, option one is possible, but it's going to involve a lot of time and trial and error. Option two, you could learn the exact steps, strategies, and shortcuts so you can do this in weeks, not years, weeks. You don't have to figure this all out by yourself, and you don't have to go through this transformation on your own either. That's why I created the Ultimate Life Survival Guide membership community, which includes the Stress 101 program to shorten the learning curve and give you the information and support that you need to get to where you want to be, to start lowering your stress, to start reversing the stress damage and feeling in control of your life as fast as possible. And I'm sure, as you can see, and as your heart is telling you right now, this is a better option, and this is the opportunity that I offer for you today. So now I get it. You're already stressed to the max and don't know where you're going to find the time to work on this on top of everything else that you have going on. That's why I created the lessons for the Stress 101 program to be 5 minutes or less. And a lot of people, when they first start out to listen to these lessons, they just do it right before they go to bed, or they listen while they're getting ready in the morning, or while they're doing the dishes. All the lessons for the Stress 101 program are available in video and downloadable podcast format to take with you on the go. So this is doable. Even if you're working 2 jobs, have 4 kiddos, a single mom at home, it's been done. There is a person in the group that has lived through this and done that with a single mom with 4 kids while working 2 jobs. So by the end of the Stress 101 program, you're going to feel the inner peace you've been craving. You'll be resilient to manage any crisis, global pandemic, work-related, family, whatever the crisis is, you'll feel in control and unstoppable. You'll be able to regain your focus and let go of worries. You'll be able to manage your stress so that you don't feel overwhelmed and can turn off your stress response on demand, just like I did on that train platform in Vancouver. You'll be able to minimize the negative health effects and even reverse some of the stress damage in your body. And you'll be somewhere that you belong and can feel supported and understood with others who are walking beside you, implementing the same strategies. And with your smaller accountability tribe, they'll get to know you more closely and you'll be much more comfortable sharing these vulnerable moments with them. You'll move from the struggling, burnt out, frazzled people pleaser to the assertive, empowered, balanced, calm, and happy person you were always meant to be. You'll be able to access your objective observer in that quiet, calm space below the surface of everything that you got going on in your life. And you'll not only be able to be a master problem solver, you'll also feel that inner peace and balance you've been craving. So what's the Ultimate Life Survival Guide membership community and what's it all about? The Ultimate Life Survival Guide community is for you if you're a recovering people pleaser who's stressed out, burnt out, and ready for a timeout from your life. If you spend all day taking care of others and that leaves you with nothing left for you, but you really want to take better care of yourself. If you feel like you're just barely keeping your head above water in the sea of all that you've got going on. If your inner critic is keeping you stuck, unable to create positive change in your life, if all of your stress keeps getting to you and you really want to be strong for your family and friends, but you don't know how much longer you can keep being everybody else's rock. And you want to do more for your life. You want to feel like you're ready for more, but you're drowning in the life that you have and you're trying to figure out which self-help resources to start with, and it's just so overwhelming. You don't know where to begin. Give me 5 minutes a day and I'll show you how to completely transform your life and get back in control of your stress response, one gentle, self-compassionate step at a time. You're going to go from feeling beyond stressed out to the calm, centered, grounded person that thrives despite the difficult circumstances of everyday life, regardless of what's happening in the world around you, regardless of what's happening in your own life or anything else that's influencing you. Don't just take my word for it, though. Let's hear about Jan's experience. Jan said, "To say that Heather's Ultimate Life Survival Guide changed my life is an understatement. The community of people online is super helpful when you need to bounce ideas off people, or when you just feel like sharing what you're going through or the process that's happening for you. The group is extremely helpful. Heather was very responsive every time there was a question, kindly, but in a way challenged all of her students as well, and I really appreciated the support that she provided. It was hugely beneficial, and I believe that's part of why the program is so effective." So here's what you can expect. You get full access to the 20 episodes of the Stress 101 program, which teaches you about stress, what happens in your body, and most importantly, what you can do about it, and how to regain control over your stress so you can feel calm, relaxed, and build resiliency for the future. You'll get access to a large and growing guided meditation library with meditations ranging from 3 minutes to 60 minutes and beyond. There's monthly live coaching calls where you'll have the chance to apply for one of 3 hot seat coaching calls every month where you can get on and get some one-on-one coaching from me. And then there's also the community, which includes a monthly workshop, which you as a community get to help choose the topic. And then I prepare a workshop. And if I don't feel comfortable with the information, I'm going to reach out and bring you an expert to teach you on the topic of your choosing. If I don't know enough about it, I'm not going to kind of figure it out as I go. I'm going to bring you an expert that actually knows really in-depth information about what you want to learn about. And all of the workshops I've done previously and all future ones are going to be in the community, and they're going to be added to the workshop library where you'll get full access as a member. And then every single 5-day challenge I've run or have run in the past is going to also be available to you on demand. There's one about goal setting. I've got one about emotional eating, meditation, digital detoxes, inner critic work, surviving the holidays. There's all kinds, and they're there for you to access whenever you want. There's also exclusive member perks like Spotify playlists for empowerment, processing difficult emotions, relaxation. There's exclusive member discounts that you can get from relevant retailers, and I'm always adding new ones to that as I keep reaching out. And then there's the Accountability Tribe, which are a smaller group within the larger community, and the tribes are made up of 5 to 7 people and include myself, and those are your people. Those are the ones that you're going to get to know really well and be more comfortable sharing and being vulnerable and open with each other. The bonds that you form in your tribe are truly priceless. And I'm in every tribe as well, so you can also get closer support from me in your tribe. Plus, there's tribe challenges that happen, and you can win prizes as a tribe. We make it a lot of fun. So that's a grand total value of greater than $1,900, but you won't be spending nearly that much, not even close. Just think of how you will feel in a few weeks when you've taken control of your life, you've regained control over your stress response, and finally feel like yourself again. You can take the first step on this journey today for a monthly investment in your future, and all of that holds for you. It's just $25 a month. You'll get access to this life-changing content, coaching, and support for just $25 a month. And I'm sure you've got some questions, and on the next slide, I'm going to show you how you can reach out to me and ask your questions and get some answers. But I also wanted to share some of the most common questions I get asked here. So why a membership site and not just a course? Well, actually, there's some really cool stress research that shows when you're in a community of people that understand you, that understand your struggles, that get you, like what you'll experience in the community in general and in your accountability tribe, that you're able to reverse the negative effects of stress. So when we're stressed, on the ends of our DNA, there's these little caps that are called telomeres. And when we're stressed, those caps start to wear down until they disappear, and then our DNA starts to unravel. And when our DNA is unraveled, it creates weird cells. And so these weird cells can easily become cancer cells if our body's not able to properly deal with them. And part of the stress response is damaging our immune system and lowering our immune system, so our body's less able to handle these weird cells created by these unraveling DNA with the telomere caps that have gone away. But the research shows that when you're in a community of people that get you, understand you, and that you feel like you belong, that you can speak and talk about these stressful things in your life, and that you guys can work together on the strategies that you're learning, It's fascinating. Your body rewinds those DNA strands and it rebuilds the caps that hold them together. So your body can reverse the damage that stress is causing on those cells when you're in a supportive community. Wild, right? Anyway, so that's why we are a membership community. Another question that people ask is, what if I join but then start to fall behind? That's what your accountability tribe is for. And that's what I'm in there for as well. We have your back every step of the way. And I share strategies to keep your commitment to yourself for 5 minutes a day. You're not alone here. This is a new habit that everybody that joins is creating, but we're with you every step of the way. And I've got lots of strategies to help make this as easy to stick to as brushing your teeth in the morning. Question number 2 that I get asked: what if this doesn't work for me? There is not a single person who's completed the work who has not gotten a massive transformation. Not a single person that hasn't lowered their stress and experienced massive mindset shifts as a member of the community. But I understand your hesitation. And so that's why I offer a full conditional 30-day refund. If you show me that you've done the work, you've watched the lessons and the group coaching calls, even if you haven't been able to join live, just so long as you've watched the replay and you still haven't received the results you were looking for, I'm going to give you your money back, no issues. So you can view more information about that on the terms and conditions for more details on that offer. The third question, which I get asked, is what if I can't attend the group coaching calls? No problem. I always ask for questions beforehand, and each call is recorded for you to watch at your own convenience. And the teaching components of the calls are also transcribed, so I take all the notes for you. So you can revisit the coaching calls at any point. And they're saved indefinitely, so you can go back and look at other group coaching calls. The next question which I get asked is, what if I haven't meditated before? Am I going to get anything out of the guided meditation library? Absolutely. I have had people come through this program and into the community that have been meditating for years, and others who are brand new to the idea of meditation, never tried it, never even considered trying it. So when you get access to the community, you'll also get complimentary access to my $47 mini course called the Meditation Foundation Program. So this 5-part mini course will show you how to calm your busy brain that starts going a mile a minute the second you close your eyes, thinking all the things. It shows you how to apply the science of breath work, how to set up your posture, your breathing patterns, and to best support your meditation practice. You're going to learn the different styles of meditation so you can decide which one will work best for you. And finally, you're going to learn how to set up a meditation practice that will be just as easy to stick to as your habit of brushing your teeth in the morning. I use that example a lot because everybody brushes their teeth in the morning and they do it without thinking. You can have the same kind of thing happening for the Stress 101 program. You can have the same kind of habit programming happening for your daily meditation practice. It's all possible. Question number 5 is, what happens if I get stuck on a lesson? I'm with you 100% of the way, and I'll never let you feel alone or under-supported. I have your back every single step of the way. And you can reach out to me on the app or by email, and I'm going to respond with a personal message, sometimes in video format, within 24 hours of you asking. Evenings and weekends, it doesn't matter. Also, your accountability tribe is there for you to bounce ideas off one another, to brainstorm for solutions, and to talk it out when things get tough. You are never going to be left stranded or stuck. Question number 5 is, how much time does this take? I don't know if I'm going to have time for this. Every lesson of the Stress 101 program is literally 5 minutes long or less. You can listen to each lesson before you go to bed or while you're multitasking during your day. You can get the benefit without it disrupting your flow. The workshops are also always recorded and in an on-demand style where you can access them at your own convenience. And the workshops are all available in video, downloadable audio podcast, and written form. So you can learn the way that works best for you. And also, there's no requirements for engaging in the community or with your accountability tribe, but you may find that this part of your membership becomes your favorite part, where you receive the most benefit. So engaging in that community is really such a valuable part of this experience. Question number 7 I get: what if I'm not ready? This isn't really a good time, so when does this open up again? And I'm going to give you a little tough love right there. It's not a matter of how ready you are. It's about how committed you are. It's about how much you want to change your negative self-talk, lower your stress and your risk of stress-related diseases. It's about how much you want to get back in control of your life. Because when have you ever felt 100% ready before jumping into something big that was going to change your life? Probably never. The fact is, being ready is an illusion. You're never going to feel ready. Think back to any major decision in your life that affected what it was going to look like moving forward. Did you shrug your shoulders nonchalantly and say, meh, I'm sure it'll be fine, I'm sure this will work itself out? Or did you fret over it, do your research, wonder if you're making the right choice, doubt yourself, ask friends for their thoughts, and maybe even lose some sleep over it? If you're like me, it's very easy to get caught up in all the what ifs and stay stuck, unable to make the decision that will change your life, which leaves you stuck in this cycle of current circumstances. You're never going to feel ready. And the longer you stay in that place of indecision, self doubt, and what ifing, the longer you stay stuck in that freeze response, the longer you're going to stay in this place where you don't want to be, and nothing's going to change for you. Our bodies are so attuned to our habits that we actually create chemicals and hormones that keep us liking the status quo. When our lives stay the same, even if we don't like it, logically, we get the same feel good hormones circulating because we're keeping things as they are. But when we start to stretch out of that comfort zone, even considering changing a habit, or our body's chemical response sends out stress hormones in an effort to protect itself. And our body and our inner critic does this without accessing our logic brain. So that means that even though you may know that this community might be right for you and you're considering that it might be best, your body could be sending out chemicals and hormones that make it feel scary. So it's not necessarily that you're doubting yourself. It's that your body's chemical messengers are trying to keep you in your current circumstances because, from their perspective, this is safer. But you're here right now listening to this because you don't want your life and your self-talk and your stress to stay the same. You're ready to be gentler with yourself, to show yourself more self-compassion, to see what happens when your nasty inner critic's voice calms down and doesn't matter anymore. You want to see what it's like to not feel this stressed out. So, my friend, it's not about if you feel ready. It's about your commitment to make this change for yourself. It's about how much you want to change your stress. It's about how much you want to change your life. Your commitment is what's going to move you past the obstacle of self-doubt. Fostering your level of commitment and your desire to be kinder to yourself, your desire to lower your stress, is where the magic will be for you. And commitment to your growth is an essential part of what I teach in the Ultimate Life Survival Guide. And we go into all kinds of different strategies and the science behind how to create and maintain that internal motivation and commitment to your goals. We go through all of that. So, if you still have more questions, please feel free to contact me either on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at The Ultimate Life Survival Guide. You can also email me, heather@heatherthatcher.com, and I'll be happy to get back to you. And there's also options for you to get on a free 30-minute call where we can talk one-on-one and decide if I'm a good fit. I'm not a good fit for everybody, and I get that. So if you want to get on the phone to talk a little bit about it first, we can definitely do that too. So send me an email and we can get that process started. So thank you so much for joining me on this workshop. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it helpful. And if you'd like to get that free stress management package, which includes some workbooks, some guided meditations, and other mini resources, then please go to heatherthatcher.com/stress-gift. However, you'll also receive all of these for free as a member of the Ultimate Life Survival Guide membership site. And again, that's just $25 a month for so much value that keeps growing every single month. And so if you'd like to learn more about the membership site and how to sign up, then click that big yellow button below and get the process started. I really look forward to getting to know you a little bit more, and I'm really grateful for the time that you spent with me on this today. Take care, lovely, and I'll see you around my corner of the internet.